Let's try tonight to prove the existence of Allah to Dawkins and those who follow him from the non-religious or what they call themselves atheists. After we concluded last night that there is no atheist in the scientific sense of the term atheism.
You mean we should try to prove the existence of God and not the proof of Allah's existence?
What's the difference as long as we believe that God is Allah?
According to the terminology in the heavenly religions and Abrahamic faiths, the God of those religions is called Allah. In other religions, the term Allah is not used. They refer to it as a God.
And what's the proof of what you're saying?
One of the most important differences is that Allah exists in those religions in a singular form and does not have a plural form. As for the term God, it is singular and its plural is gods. An atheist is someone who denies the existence of a God, not specifically someone who denies the existence of Allah. However, someone who denies the existence of Allah but believes in a God is not an atheist. When Dawkins titled his book The God Delusion, he didn't intend to deny the existence of God as specific to religions like Islam or Christianity, but wanted to deny the God altogether.
So, what do you want to prove to Dawkins and his followers then?
I'm not in the process of proving the God that I believe in.
Then, in your opinion, who is the believer and who is the atheist?
The matter is related to believing in a creator of this universe. Any person who says there is no creator of the universe is an atheist. And anyone who says that this world has a creator is a believer, regardless of the name of this creator, whether it is Allah, as Islam calls it, Brahma, as Hinduism calls it, or any other name. The important thing is that the believer believes in the existence of a force that created this universe. Regardless, also of the attributes of this force, whether it is infinite, limited, wise, capable, knowledgeable, or if it is unwise, incapable, and ignorant, or whether that force has a body or not. Whoever denies the existence of a force that created the universe is an atheist.
What do you call someone who believes in the existence of a force that created the universe, but that force is matter? Is he a believer or an atheist?
This is a believer in the existence of a material God and not an atheist.
So, someone who believes in the eternity of matter, and that matter is eternal, is he an atheist or not?
No, he's not an atheist. An atheist is the one who didn't believe in an eternal force.
Wow! So what's the difference between us and those who believe in the eternity of matter?
We all believe in the existence of the concept of God, but we differ in its embodiment.
How so?
I believe that this eternal force is Allah, according to the understanding of the Abrahamic religions, while a believer in a material God believes that this eternal force is matter. Also, for example, I believe that this eternal force is outside of nature, while a believer in a material God believes it's a natural force. I believe this force is knowledgeable, while he believes that this material force is not knowledgeable, but ignorant. I believe it's a wise force, while he questions if it was wise. Why do these pointless actions exist? I believe this force is just, while he says, then why is this injustice that rules humanity, and so on.
So it turns out 99% of those who think they are atheists are actually believers, but they don't know about their belief?
Yes, because they believed in the concept of the God but differed with us in the embodiment or instance and application of that concept, not in the concept God itself.
What is the difference between concept and instance?
A concept is a general idea existing in our minds, like the idea of tree, which encompasses all types of trees. An instance, however, is something specific in reality, like the lemon tree in our garden. We use concepts to understand the world around us in an organized way, and an instance is the real examples that we see or touch. Simply put, the concept is the big idea, and the instance is the individual case or example of that idea.
From what I understand from your words, we all believe in the concept of God, but differ in its instances.
Yes, everyone who believes in the eternal power that created the universe is a believer, and those who do not believe in this eternal power are atheists.
Are there multiple instances of the concept of God, like the case of the tree concept, which has many instances?
Yes, we all agree on the concept of God and understand it in our minds as an eternal power that created the world, while the instances of that power are diverse among those who believe in it. In Islam, the instance of God is called Allah. Muslims believe that Allah is one, without partners in creation. In Christianity, the concept of God is often referred to as the Father. In Judaism, the concept of God is referred to by several instances, like YHWH or Adonai, which means the Lord. In Hinduism, the instance of the concept of God is Brahma, the deity focusing on the creation of the universe. In Sikhism, the concept of God corresponds to the instance Wahoguru, the one God worshipped in Sikhism. In Zoroastrianism, the instance of the concept of God is Ahura Mazda. As for those who call themselves atheists, they too have believed in the concept of God with us, but their instance of it is matter.
Does this prove that everyone believes and is not an atheist in the scientific sense of the word?
Yes. For example, Dawkins and his followers actually deny a certain instance of God presented by various religions, and cannot deny their belief in the concept of God.
What do you mean?
They are against certain instances of God presented by some religions, despite their belief in the concept of God.
What are you trying to say?
Anyone who considers themselves an atheist is actually not an atheist, but denies the manifestation or instance of God that we believers present to them, to which the atheist responds by saying, "This God that you believe in, I do not accept."
And this means that the atheist has no problem with the origin of divinity and the concept of God and the eternal power creating the universe, but has an issue with the God whose manifestations or instances are given by the religions known to the atheist.
Yes, the atheist does not contradict the concept of the eternal power, but with its manifestations presented by various religions.
What is the evidence for your statement?
Well done, my daughter Fatima. Always ask for evidence in every claim. In the conversation that Mehdi Hassan had with Dawkins on Al Jazeera channel, Mehdi Hassan asked him by saying,
"You say in The God Delusion," one of my favorite sentences that jumps out of the page, that the God of the Old Testament is a petty, unjust, unforgiving control freak, a vindictive, bloodthirsty ethnic cleanser, a misogynistic, homophobic, racist, infanticidal, genocidal, filicidal, pestilential, megalomaniacal, sadomasochistic, capricious, malevolent bully. As a piece of rhetoric, superb. But do you really believe that?
Congratulations on getting megalomaniacal right, by the way. Most people fumble on that. Yes, if you've actually read the Old Testament, I think you would have to agree. It's hideous. It's an the God of the Old Testament who is a monster.
But also the God of the Quran, the New Testament, the Hindu scripture?
Well, the God of the Quran, I don't know so much about. The God of the New Testament is widely advertised as being a bit more gentle.
Here, Dawkins acknowledges that he does not believe in such a manifestation of the concept of God as presented by the Old Testament. He also admits that he is not familiar with other manifestations of the concept of God presented by other religions, like the God of the Quran or the God of Hinduism. So, does he have a problem with the concept of God as the eternal force? Or does he have a problem with the manifestation presented by the Old Testament?
Based on what he said, he rejects the manifestation of God presented by the Old Testament and admits that he does not know about the manifestation of God in the Quran or the manifestation of God in Hinduism.
Dawkins' problem here is that he generalizes the manifestation of God presented by the Old Testament to all other manifestations presented by different religions for the concept of God.
And does the manifestation of God presented by the Old Testament differ from the manifestation presented by the Quran?
It differs completely. The Quran consists of 114 chapters, 113 of which begin with two important attributes to describe the manifestation of God in Islam, which are the most merciful and the most compassionate. Thus, every chapter of the Quran begins with, "In the name of God, the most merciful, the most compassionate." This is contrary to what Dawkins understood about the manifestation of God in the Old Testament.
It's beautiful to understand that the relationship between God and his creation is a relationship of mercy, built on the basis of compassion.
The cognitive model of Allah, or God, is the original problem in humanity.
What do you mean?
People's understanding of the Holy Scriptures, or some religious scholars or institutions, in addition to some actions of believers in God like ISIS and others, have given an image and a portrayal of God that does not attract people and is not what the Quran described about the concept of God, who is called in the Quran by the name Allah.
Are there more than one image of the concept of Allah?
Yes, there are at least two images. One image shows that the relationship between Allah and his creation is the relationship of the lover with the beloved, the relationship of adoration and obedience based on love and passion between God and his creation. God advises his prophet Muhammad with a Quranic advice: "If you love Allah, then follow me. Allah will love you. So can such a manifestation of Allah harm you or not?"
And how do we understand the divine threats in the Quran to the disobedient and the sinners?
They are threats for discipline only, just as a lover may threaten his beloved with abandonment if he wrongs him. But it's impossible for him to take revenge on him because the relationship that governs God with his servants is a relationship of love and affection. As in Surah Al-Ma'idah, it says, "He loves them and they love him." Look, the whole Quran, from beginning to end, affirms the relationship of love between God and all his creations, and affirms that the most beloved of his creation to him is human.
And what is the second image of the manifestation of Allah?
It is an image invented by ignorant believers. It shows that the relationship between God and humans is as the master with his slaves. As long as this relationship in the Arab mind is associated with one party commanding and the other responding, governed by the stick for those who disobey.
And do you deny that among the attributes of God is that he is the master and the Lord and we are his slaves?
I do not deny, but that relationship is imbued with divine mercy, for he is presented in the Quran with descriptions like the most merciful, the most compassionate, and the most merciful, and he has ordained mercy upon himself, not as the master who drives his slaves with whips of punishment and vengeance. Therefore, in Surah Al-Baqarah, it says, "And those who believe love God more. Indeed, the principle and basis of true faith is the relationship of love."
You have enlightened me a lot tonight. Thank you, Papa.
Best of luck to you, my dear daughter. We will continue our conversation on another night. Good night.